You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Well, at least it's Friday. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, the Friday edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365 to recap yet another Maple Leafs loss. A disappointing loss at that. In OT, Quinton Byfield, QB, the local product scoring the OT winner for the upstart Los Angeles Kings, presented by Bet365. How are you doing, Rosie?
I'm sick as a dog. I think the Leafs are making me sick. I haven't been sick in 3+ years, and here we are. It's getting worse as they get worse, I think. There's a correlation.
Well, hang in there. You got a couple days to have some R&R, although you're a family man, of course, and your kids play puck and all that, so I'm sure you're pretty busy over the weekend. But it's really fascinating when you look at this Maple Leafs team because of the start. And then all of a sudden, for the first time this season, I looked at the standings last night, and I'm like, they're 4 points out of first place, and I was grinning ear to ear after Montreal got just destroyed by Dallas last night. I thought the Habs won the Stanley Cup in October, so I guess I was wrong.
Dude, it doesn't even make any sense. How could you be playing this bad, be in the basement on so many stats and numbers, and you're 4 points out in the Atlantic? It's mind-numbing, and it's kind of the only saving grace here that, you know, as bad as it's been the last 4 games, and especially after that second Boston game, it was like, okay, that's it. Like, people went nuts, and it looks so bad, yet this could somehow be a blip on the radar if they can, you know, get healthy and start playing hockey that keeps the puck out of their net, which Willie says is not as big a problem as if you can't put the puck in their net. All of a sudden, maybe this could go down as a blip on the radar. Not saying that's going to be the case, but it's wild that they are that close to first in the Atlantic.
So a couple things to cover there, and you're right. I want to get to Elliot Friedman's thoughts on 32 Thoughts regarding the Maple Leafs, the meetings, the candidness, the directness. But let's tackle that quote from Nylander first. It's Toronto. Always careful in this market every time there's a quote that comes out. But did you make as much of it as some other people?
That thing? No. It's just such a Willie thing to say. That's how he thinks, and that's how he operates. And it's crazy. Like, OEL is having a career year points-wise. JT is on fire.
Oh.
Willie's got points out the wazoo. Nye's numbers are pretty good. Like, they're doing the right things on that side of the puck. And, you know, we've seen this team where they can't score. And it's kind of a head-scratcher because they got the skill to score. So, I get it, and it is easier to tighten up defensively, I think, than it is when you're completely stymied offensively. So I kind of get what he's saying. Probably not what the market wants to hear, but that's Willie. He doesn't give a shit. So no, I wasn't up in arms about it. I just said, yeah, that's Willie Nylander, right? That's how he operates.
I thought it was terrible last night. Let's call a spade a spade. He was not good last night, and we'll get to the 2-2 goal. I was sort of chuckling. So was every other media member hearing Craig Berube react to, like, somebody asked, like, what were you telling Nylander on the bench? And he's like, oh, I was asking him if he was hurt. He wasn't hurt, Craig, because he played the rest of the game. It's like he is as appalled and has as many questions as you and I right now regarding this team. But I sort of foreshadowed Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts. I guess he talked about the Leafs having a meeting on Monday that was honest, blunt, intense, and at times brutal. Some guys are singled out. Mind you, this is before the Boston game. So is it concerning to hear that and, like, still the same issues? Like, I think they were better last night. We're going to jump into the game, obviously, coming up. But the Boston game was not pretty. The lack of response is what concerns me.
I would agree. Like, you watch, like, we know what Willie Nylander is, and, you know, when he's good, he is good, and he's got that swagger, but he's got the ability to look completely disinterested, right? And I think he had a lot of that last night. Like, how could you be in that market in the situation that you're in this past week, and you're in the D zone and they have possession and you're just hands by your side gliding and watching? Like, I don't get it. I don't get how you can do that. And I'm starting to think that this team, go back to the summer. Okay, you're losing Mitch Marner. So here's an opportunity to get some players that are available, whether they're working out or not, to try to make this more of a playoff style of team and kind of get the identity going to a point where you could have more success in a long playoff series, I think was the MO. So they do that. Craig Berube can really get his claws in. And here we go. Let's make this team a little bit different so that you can have more success in the playoffs. And we're going to play a certain system and have this identity. Here we go. And I'm just watching, and it's like it seems like they're trying to do that, except the players are just not interested. That's what it looks like. They're not buying in, and they're going, we don't do that. I don't do that. That's not, and nobody's interested. That's the conclusion that I've come to here. And this is the result. You build a team and you're coached a certain way to play X, and nobody wants to play any way but Y. Here you go. And this is what you're left with. You can still put some pucks in the net because you got skill and you got some good players, but the rest of it is just going down the drain. And until they buy in, and again, it's the players to me, the coaches and the GM have done certain things and said, this is what we're doing. And the players have yet to buy in. It's frustrating because you have those meetings, and usually those are big, pee-pee whack, eye openers, wake the fuck up type of meetings. And usually you get some kind of a response, and you can see some things where it's like, ooh, there it is. That's what they're trying. He's responding. The message is sent to him, and he's trying to buy into that process that you're trying to get the whole team on. And they're just not. It's shocking. And again, yeah, like Willie's a leader on that team. He's one of the best players on the team, and he's not buying in. He's just like that, floating around on a couple of those goals. It's just so unacceptable. And Craig Berube has got to kind of walk the line of like, I'm sure he wants to scream in this guy's face and say, what the hell are you doing? But you can't lose the room. You can't lose your superstar. But God damn, that has got to be frustrating. I just can't believe that they don't have enough character to pull themselves out of that.
They look like a wounded animal, man. And, for all those years of just superstardom and swag out the yin yang, they have absolutely no confidence, no swag. You could tell the way they play the game. They don't play as a cohesive unit. It's a one-man show out there, regardless of the guy with the puck. And they're just so bad defensively. It is appalling watching this team in person. I'm sure TV gives you a really nice perspective, but watching them in person, even up 2-0 in that game, they're chasing the game. Where, honestly, not to get back to Nylander, because I think a lot of people are at fault here, but that was a really bad penalty when it was 2-0 right after the goal. Like, Mike Ross hadn't even announced the goal, and Nylander does like one of those lazy like reach around. I hate those penalties. Like, at least if you're going to take a penalty, make it count. I think that sucked the life out of the team and the building. That building was dead to begin with, but you give them hope. It's 2-0 in the game. You're playing a boring period, exactly what you want against the LA Kings, and sort of gave the Kings life. And then on top of that, I thought the vets of LA really, really stepped up, whether it's Kopitar or Doughty. Corey Perry was stick handling through the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. This guy is 6,000 years old. And mind you, he does it to every team, but it was bewildering to see some of the stuff I saw in person last night, plain and simple.
Yeah, the team seems really fragile. You get out to a 2-0 lead, and whether you can argue if they deserve that or not, no shots, and you're hemmed in your zone a lot, but you find a way to get a 2-0 lead. And, for example, like you said, you take a penalty, a good team will dig their heels in and say, let's kill this off and get back to pick right back up where we left off. No, this team goes, oh God, and on their heels they go, and spinning around and looking around and out of position. And of course, it just fills the net. They blow their lead and, lose the game. Okay, you got a point in overtime. That's good, I guess. Instead of 5 points out of first, you're 4. Still shocking that is even the case, but they're fragile. And it's so frustrating that their whole MO is to build a culture or an identity that comes from the bottom up and has defense as a number one commitment and playing strong, playing together. There's just so many holes in it. It's kind of shocking. And I just keep coming back to that conclusion that they've built this team to play a certain way. And that's the management and the coaching staff, and the players are on a completely different page.
Yep, very well said. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and third in the world. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We didn't get to this yesterday because of the influx of news off the top of the show, but Matthew and Brady Tkachuk launched a new podcast called Wingman. What do you think of that? And I think my offspring question to that, if you were to hear a podcast with two Maple Leafs right now, who would you include? I think for one, Scott Lawton would have to be there, right?
Scooty Lutz. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking like maybe like Domi and Nyes and Lots, and have a kind of get Willie in there maybe. Those two guys are kind of the nemesis right now of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So whatever, but they're intriguing guys, interesting. They do numbers. People are interested in them. They're both very successful players, and I think they both play the right way. And, some old school guys will roll their eyes and like, why don't you focus on this shit? Why don't you focus on hockey? But on the other side of things, like people are talking about why can't the NHL pull the numbers like in the NFL or the NBA?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want to be more marketable, you got to put yourself out there and show your personality and drag people into the game that otherwise wouldn't be a part of it. And that's how you do it right there. So I have no problem with the podcast and stuff. Get with the times. I got to drive to Canmore tonight for a tournament, so I'll probably throw that episode on if it's out and give it a look-see.
Yeah, they're great for the game, man. Plain and simple. I know they're on rival teams. It's kind of fascinating. They're both in the Atlantic Division, but I'm very curious to see when they start throwing shade at different teams and what they say about the Maple Leafs. I would love to know what these guys truly feel and how they feel about this Maple Leafs team. I think it's going to be very direct, like they've been since the onset of entering the NHL, like their father. I think it's great for the league, man. Like, how often have we talked about seeing more personality in this league? We're about to see it on this podcast, I think.
Yeah, I think we will, and they don't give a rip about what they say or
No,
who they
they'll back it
fire
up.
up.
They'll
So
back it up.
they're
Yeah.
they're good guys to do it. 100% they back it up. Those Tkachuk's, they all talk a certain way, like there's S's or something like that. So I'm ready for a bunch of speech impediments happening with those two guys. But again, they have a funny way of rubbing people the wrong way, and I think they like doing that. So they're the right guys for a podcast. I think, like I said, I'll check it out and see what it is. I'm sure part of it'll piss me off, and I think that's what they're looking for.
I don't know if you saw the promo, the initial promo. It shows you that this whole broadcast thing isn't as easy as people think. I know Rosie made the transition look really, really easy, but the different outtakes I thought was hilarious because it shines some perspective on like how you do one of these, how you put them together, how you speak into a microphone. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder, like they'll probably pump out one a week or something. Is my
Yeah, I think it's every
guess.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay, so interesting. This day and age, we're in different cities and we can pull it off and do it. You got the ability and the the hardware and software to do it. It'll be interesting how they pump it out, what they're talking about, how intimate they get, and how much of their personal stuff they're willing to share, and how deep
Mm-hmm.
they go with throwing shade and being specific and personal to different people in the league. And it'll be interesting. And, I think it'll create a buzz. And again, I don't think there's, as much as I dislike those guys being on rival teams and everything else, they're probably the guys to do that show and to get it off the ground and get some awareness going, like I said, from people who otherwise might not pay attention to the hockey market.
Enough about them. Not the same company. We're just
Yeah.
promoting them for no reason only. But we got Dave Bolland coming on, two-time Stanley Cup champion, former Toronto Maple Leaf, played many years with Chicago, very effective with Chicago, scored huge goals with Chicago. I'm very intrigued to get his insight on what the hell's going on with this Maple Leafs team right now, too.
Yeah, me too. There's a guy who is part of a team that was
Dynasty.
the template. Seriously,
Yeah.
modern day dynasty, the Chicago Blackhawks in the early 2010s. They're like, oh boy, from leadership to superstars to stud D-man, well coached, rattling off Stanley Cups, man. They were the template. And it'll be definitely interesting to pick his brain about what he sees, how far away this Maple Leaf team is. Obviously, he's got experience in the market. So a good guy to pick his brain here today and get some perspective on what he sees, because he knows what it feels like in a room to be part of something that's doing things right. And I imagine he's got some insight on how far off this Leafs team at the moment.
quite the opposite, I would say, with this Maple Leafs team. Albeit, again, glass half empty, half full. You look and they're like 8-2, and you're like, how the hell is this happening? But they're about to hit the road for a flurry of games. So we'll see what it looks like in a couple weeks from now. At the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take. Wherever you find your podcast, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Every time the Leafs play at home, you can get these exclusive deals only on Uber Eats. Firehouse Subs, BOGO Brisket Hat-Trick, Kibo Sushi, BOGO California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, BOGO Traditional Wrap. That's right, buy one, get one before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. So the winless skid now, Rosie, up to 4 games, 0-3-1. They get a point, but ... They've surrendered 3 or more goals in 12 of their past 13 games. They're 45-24-3 all-time without Matthews. But this statistic about the over is insanity to me. Like, if we just keep betting the over, you are making a lot of money. Not to endorse gambling, of course, but 16 of their 18 games have hit the over now this season. It's insane to me.
Yeah, if you want a little a little perk of watching the Maple Leafs, even if they're struggling, you can make a couple bucks betting the over. My God, that's insane numbers. And it, like we talked about to start off the show, they're scoring goals and they've got some good numbers, but it doesn't feel like the same team of the past where they're trying to win 6-5. You know what I mean? It's uglier, and it's kind of this anomaly that they're playing so poorly and there's so many chances against and odd man rushes and defensive breakdowns, and they're still finding ways to score goals. Maybe that's what Willie's talking about. You tighten that stuff up, you can be on the right track. And the hard part of scoring goals is kind of not your problem. But when you look at it and crunch it and dissect it and watch enough games, they are a long ways away from tightening up their defensive woes. And again, to me, the problem is they look disinterested in doing so, which is just shocking, man. Like, it's shocking. And I need to see some light. Like the Boston game, like that was just such a a necessary response game that there's no other option but to respond and dig in and buy in and peel the layers back and say, here's what we need to do. Let's shed this other bullshit and let's really commit together to playing this certain way. And they just didn't seem to even try or bother. And it's just like their life must be shit right now. I know what it's like to struggle in that market, and it's brutal, man. It's brutal. You can walk into somebody in the gas station and they're talking about how shitty you guys are. And like everywhere you go, it's this negativity. Why would they have so much? They'd have just so much reason to turn the thing around. And it, again, just shocking that they seem disinterested out there. It's the worst part about it right now for me.
69 goals surrendered in 18 games. If only we can keep it at that number for the entirety of the season. We can't, unfortunately. But Dennis Hildeby, by far, like a great bright spot of the game, alongside John Tavares, of course, who now has 11 goals in 18 games. But Hildeby makes 33 saves. They get outshot 37-15. And I think that the one thing that stuck out about the game is how many times they get hemmed in their zone from not making the simple play and putting it off the glass. Like, there are career NHLers, especially on the back end, who made careers of putting the puck off the glass. They just won't get it through their heads. They tried a lot more flips. I noticed that yesterday, where they're flipping it out from the D zone to the neutral zone. Okay. But the amount of giveaways are egregious in the D zone. Like, I was even laughing. The Bob McMahon goal was hilarious because he gave the puck away, got it back, then somehow went on a breakaway and scored. Like, that was, in a nutshell, the Maple Leaf season. It's got to be really, really discerning, I would say, for the coaching staff, specifically Craig Berube, when you see stuff like that, where it's like the simple plays, just get the puck out of the zone. I know you're tired. You can obviously speak to this. You're a former defenseman. The eggs are heavy. The lungs are heavy. You're trying to get that puck over that blue line, and sometimes they just fall really, really short with a really, really dumb play, you know?
Yeah, they do. Craig Berube, when he came in here, it's get the puck north, move the puck north, have everyone come, like, support the puck. They don't seem to be playing a structured game, like in the defensive zone, like have structure and support. That was one of the best things about the NHL to me is like when you get that puck and time and space is getting taken away so fast, but you always have support. Like you don't even have to look sometime. You can have your back turned on the wall and you can eat one and being pinched on by your D-man and you can just tip that thing to the middle. You know your guy's there and they're not doing that. And like you said, the D are, they're not playing physical enough. They're not playing simple enough. And they look like they're panicked all the time. And it is frustrating. And, Carlo's been a story about, what did we give away for him? He's supposed to be like this linchpin back there to, solidify a lot of things. And, 6'5", and he's not using his strength or his size in any way. Like you might as well be 5'8". Like it's, and yeah, it's to not simplify things when it's going bad. I mean, that's the number one. We've had guests on where, Caberlet was like, you just got to simplify the game, get it, see the play. If not, keep it to the walls, make sure it gets over the line. They're just not, man. And, it's snowballing on them. They've been getting worse the last 4 games. The sky's falling on them. And again, it's crazy that they're not taking the steps that seem obvious to pull themselves out of this.
I will say Dakota Mermis has only played a few games and a few shifts, but I liked him, what I saw yesterday, more than Phil Myers. Like if Tanev can't go the next game in Chicago tomorrow, Mermis is a guy I'd probably keep in the lineup. But that's saying a lot when I'm talking about a 7, 8, 9 depth guy who I think exceeded expectations so far this year. But it just, the puck movement is, again, it's really, really appalling. Like there was a couple instances there where they just had to get the puck out and they could not. And a veteran team like Los Angeles is going to eat you alive. Like Corey Perry, he plays such a direct game. Like it's actually a perfect Craig Berube game, the game that Corey Perry plays. And I still think it's amazing. Like I'll just zone in on that guy and watch him play. And he plays like, it's not very difficult to understand what Corey Perry's motives are on the ice, but he just does it so effectively. I think he took over the game, which is crazy to say. It is Corey Perry, but the Leafs had zero pushback for that guy. We saw barely any life. The building was dead. Like it was really disappointing watching that game in person last night. Like somebody do something to get people cooked and go in here, but nothing.
I know it's the response and the lack of give a shit. Like go out there and run someone through the boards or just manhandle a guy in front of the net and just like try to hurt him for all I care. Like just show you have some passion. And I don't know. I was talking to some buddies and just kid in Calgary named Owen Hayden. He's 16 years old. He's a D-man. He's 6'7". And, talking to a buddy, he's like, my favorite players, Chris Pronger. And I just want to hit. Nice. And I just want to fight. And this young kid. And I'm like, maybe there's hope for this new generation coming down the barrel. So I'm keeping my eye on him. But we don't see it with the Leafs, man. You don't see the passion. You don't see the grit. You don't see determination. It's just so freaking disappointing watching them drop one after another. And I mean, I tweeted something last night, like, I'm excited to see this game. Is anyone going to show us anything? Is anyone going to get out of their comfort zone? And is anyone going to do something that we haven't seen yet to try to, show the fan base and show the market that I don't like this either. We don't like this either. We're willing to do things to get out of this. We're buying in. We know this is unacceptable, and here's what we're going to do to rectify it. And there's just none of it. It's tough to watch, and people are losing faith. You go online, and just people are torching the team from every direction. It's got to stop, man. And again, like we talked to some of the guests we've had, like, there's no one coming in to save this team. There's nobody going to come in and no savior is going to come in.
Not even Rasmus Anderson.
Problem. Not even Rasmus Anderson. Man, I was talking to someone within the league and said, yeah, the Leafs are talking to him heavy. And to me, that's not even going to solve the problems. What do you got to give up for him? Unless it's like bodies in, bodies out. I am, not interested in moving any prospects or draft picks that we have left to try to fix this dumpster fire. It has got to come from within. These guys are better than they are playing. And I just keep on waiting for them to show that they're willing to fix it. And again, the shocking thing is they don't seem interested. And of course, that's not true. They are, but God damn, you watch them play, like some of the defensive breakdowns where they don't even take the extra couple strides. There's no desperation. And you're like, I hope you guys are having fun, because there's just going to be more of the same coming if you guys don't commit to something different.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're about 5 minutes away from Dave Bolland joining the show. I thought Daily Faceoff's Matt Larkin had the final question in the Craig Berube presser. It was a good question about balancing urgency versus panic. And Berube says, well, panic's never going to help, but there's a level of urgency for sure. It's been there for a bit, but I'm not going to panic. That doesn't help anybody or anything. It's a good answer. I mean, they've been saying the right things. I don't know what we want these guys to say. I thought it was interesting yesterday. Couple of the guys they rolled out there, man, it was so difficult to hear them. Like Dennis Hildeby was like whispering, man, like you've been in those scrums. Like they were very, I think it was Hildeby, it was Benoit, McMahon was in the scrum last night, and Tavares. So that tells you all you need to know about like what's going on right now when you have those four guys being paraded out. Like you get your captain, quote unquote, and John Tavares, but it was more supporting cast guys because obviously everybody's feeling the heat. Nobody's feeling great about this team. But they're saying the right things, and at this point, you know, people are gonna crucify me for saying this. It's just you gotta learn, you gotta practice, you gotta try to get better. I mean, there's no sense in my world trying to dwell on what's happened. I think you look ahead to the Chicago game. Having said that, Rosie, the way this team is playing right now, there's a chance they could get run out of the building by Connor Bedard at the UC on Saturday night. Like the Hawks are dialed in, they're playing well. Former Leaf Tyler Bertuzzi's on fire. Spencer Knight's having an impeccable start to the season. I am genuinely concerned about tuning in for that game on Saturday night at the UC. But they need it. They need it.
Yeah, we'll see. And you know, they need a response. Haven't seen it yet. So
where is
I don't know. They need to get some momentum going. They need to get some belief, and they need to get some positivity. You mentioned Craig Berube to start there. Like,
yeah,
I think he's handling it well. Like, this is brutal. It's kind of a nightmare scenario. Like, if you were to say before the season, okay, it's going to be November, middle of November, and you guys are going to have dropped 4 in a row. Here's your numbers on, you know, here's your defensive numbers. Everything's at the bottom of the league. You're out of a playoff position, and you are down Matthews, you are down Tanev, you are down Lawton, you are down Stolarz, you are down Woll. You would go, oh my God. Like, that's a nightmare. You're living in a nightmare right now for the expectations they had to start the season. So things are bad. And then to boot, you have just gone through probably the easiest part of your season. You've had nothing but home games. You're not playing juggernauts, and you're still in this position. Tough stuff, and it's not getting any easier. Yeah, they need to get healthy, but they got to find a way to claw out of this. And again, the most concerning part is they haven't shown any interest in getting out of their comfort zone and doing anything different.
So I believe the Leafs are about to practice at noon Eastern time. A bunch of news to get to. Artur Akhtiamov has been assigned to the Marlies, which means finally Joseph Woll has been activated to the main roster. Auston Matthews has been placed on injured reserve retroactive to November 11th. And Easton Cowan has been recalled. So I would expect Cowan to be back in the lineup Saturday night. And I wonder about the crease too. We haven't heard much. We heard day-to-day on Stoli, whether it's Stoli or maybe a Joseph Woll season debut Saturday night in Chicago.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think injecting some new blood would go a long ways. Hopefully Woll can bring something and he can find his game and be kind of a staple there. Something like that would be, kind of the linchpin to start to get this thing back on the rails. And I don't mind bringing Easton Cowan up either. Like the young kid, you saw him his debut in his first handful of games. He's working his nuts off and just chomping at the bit. Young, youthful player who plays with an edge. I don't mind it at all. Maybe something like that could get this team going. But again, it's few and far between looking at the positives here so far.
Any concern about putting a 20-year-old in this shit show right now? Like Cowan, after, you send him down, you kill his confidence, then you recall him, and you're not playing well right now.
Well, it shouldn't kill his confidence. He's 20 years old. I think he should expect that he was going to be up and down a little bit, get some experience here and there. I'm sure they told him that, but hopefully the worst is behind this team. I'm sure that's the the MO of the guys in the group. The worst is behind us. We're going to start clawing out of this. We see light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to make it happen. So again, I think the new blood is going to do them well.
Yes, sir. And pumped to talk to today's guest at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. A winner, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, former Maple Leaf, former Blackhawk. Of course, it is Dave Bolland. Dave, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're
Hey,
good. We're hanging in there, man. This team is not playing very well. What's been your take on the first 18 games of this Maple Leaf season here?
Well, as a former fan and then a former player and then back to a former fan and then to a fan now, it's tough to watch. It's I think for the Leaf Nation, it's been a couple of it's just seeing what goes on and how everything's been played out, just from goalies to defense to forwards to Marner. I've voiced it before. I'm a huge Marner fan, and where does that? Who's putting in that 100-point year this year? Who's stepping up and doing that role? So it's tough to watch, and I hope they can turn around here sometime soon.
Yeah, and Dave, we've been talking about, the response this team has had. They've had some rough ones. They've dropped a few, and they're not playing good defensively, and called out by their coach and goalie and everyone else. And you just keep waiting for this response, and they go out there and they look disinterested, and it's kind of shocking. Like, what do you take from that? You know what that market's like, and how much the heat can come down on you. Are you surprised that you're not seeing more of a response out of these guys?
No, 100%. I know when when I was with Q and Q used to give us a good whipping, you'd want to go out there that next shift or that next game and kind of be like, shove it up his ass. But you'd want to go out there and say, F you, like this is not what we are, and this is not what kind of team we are. And I know what kind of coach Chief is. I know Chief's close to Dale Hunter, and I've met Chief a bunch of times, and he's a great coach, and he's won a Stanley Cup, and he knows what it takes to be there. So having him behind the bench is great, but when you don't have guys that are going out there and performing for your coach, that's just, it's disappointing.
It is, and you talked about Q. We had him on the show last year. I'm not shocked at all the Ducks are off to the start there are with a legend and Coach Q, but you were around so many absolute studs and vets. Like, great to see Johnny Toews back in the league, but Patty Kane, Keith, I mean, the list goes on. Who do you lean on right now if you're the Maple Leafs to get yourself out of this funk? It has to be the vets, right?
Yeah, 100%. The vets know best. You go down the line, like when I played, when I came in, it was a little different. I remember we had Marty St. Louis. Not Marty St. Louis. Marty Lapointe. We had Martin Havelat, Smolinski. We're going way back. But I know back in the day, we'd go out for some beers, and that'd be the turning point of it. Like, we'd go out, have some fun, put things in the back of your head, and not even think about it, and go out there and play. Like, that's I think when your head is when there's too much up there and there's too much going on, I think your sticks are gonna get sloppy. You're gonna be nervous. You're gonna be thinking too much, and I think you go out there, you have a nice night out with the boys, have some beers, don't think about it, and go out there and play loose.
Yeah, and talking about those Blackhawk teams that you were a part of, I mean, obviously a tight team that did things well. They were very well rounded, and the results showed for themselves. When you think back to those teams, was it leadership, or how did you get to that point where you guys were such a great team?
I think leadership was one of them. I think our scouting was so good that we had so many great guys coming up in the roster. You had myself, you had Dunks, you had Seaves, you had Buff, you had Brower. Like, he just goes down the line. Every year we had another guy coming up being like Andrew Shaw, just small little things but I just remember every Sunday after we always played an afternoon game on most Sundays or every other Sunday, and we'd have that next day off, and we'd be like, okay, be at the Scout. This is a bar that our buddy owned. I think he just opened back up in Chicago, and we'd all meet there. We'd have beers, hang out, chit chat, have fun, and next day would be a day off. You lay around, get your legs back, do whatever you need to do to cure the hangover, and then Tuesday get back to work. And it was we were just, whenever we did something, we did it as a group. So we'd all be like, there'd be a text going out, be like, hey, we're meeting here, and we'd all be there at the same time, and we'd all have fun, which was great about that group, because you'd go to the wall for that guy, and like we were just so tight.
Trying to find an answer. I think the biggest thing, being around the rink the last couple days has been maybe they need to get on the road, like just how you mentioned, get the boys on the road, get some camaraderie and some chemistry going that way. But again, there's just so many questions with this team. I did want to ask you, as a guy who is really, really sound defensively, how do you gain that trust back with your teammates? Because that's the one thing in my takeaway from this team thus far. Nobody trusts each other out there at all.
Yeah, it's tough when you don't have anybody to trust, and you got one guy talking one way, another guy being negative. You got the goalie, Stolarz, giving it to guys, and that's what you don't want. You don't want to be hounding guys. You don't want your goalie. You guys all want to be a team. You guys all want to be together. And I just knew when I came to the league, I came from junior, I put up 130 points. That next year, I went to the AHL, played for the Norfolk Admirals, and I was like, oof, I don't think I'm putting up 100. And I put up some good points in the AHL, but my first game was against the Vancouver Canucks, and I was lined up against the Sedin Twins. I think I was like -3, -4, and I was like, oof, I don't think I'm putting up 100, 130 points or 50 goals here. So I had to figure out a way to to stay in the lineup and stay in the NHL, and it was that defensive role. I took pride in it, going up against the Thorntons, the Crosbys, all the top players, and because I knew I was going to play 20 minutes a night. I knew that when Thornton was out there, I was getting out there. When the Sedin Twins were out there, I was getting out there. But I always felt defense wins you games. I'd rather win 2-1 than 6-1 or 6-5 or something like that, than being well defense rounded, great goaltending, and just getting back and helping your defense and your goaltender.
Well, Willie Nylander had a clip there with an interview, and he, they're talking about their piss poor play, and he goes, well, hey, we're still putting the puck in the net, so that's a good thing, basically. And it raised some eyebrows for sure. But do you kind of agree with that? Like, if they couldn't put the puck in the net, that's a bigger problem than tightening up your defense, or do you buy into that at all, or do you think that's
no, I don't buy it. I think that's because goals don't come easy in the NHL. Goals are tough to get, and you get around some of these tough defense and tough goalies, it's not going to be easy. And once it gets towards the end of the year in playoffs, that puckers up. Guys won't be running and gunning and doing that. Like, guys will be getting back, helping the defense, and playing a defensive game.
Bulls, I got to ask you about killer instinct. It's been such a phrase in this market for the last 10 years. But we just talked about your accolades, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, so many big goals, big plays. You're around some stardom, obviously, as well. What do you make of killer instinct? Is it something we blow out of proportion in this market? Because, for example, I watch a guy like Nathan McKinnon. He is frothing from the mouth every shift. Is there something you can instill in players to get that urgency, that desperation in their game? We haven't seen it so far this season, or many times in seasons past too.
Yeah, no, I think there is a killer. Like when I was getting out there against, like I said, those top guys, like I was like McKinnon going to score a goal. I was frothing out the mouth to get them off their game or do whatever I could to help my team win, or do whatever I could. I wanted to win. I wanted to win a Stanley Cup. I got it once and I got it twice. And once you get a taste of that, you get that killer instinct in you. It's a long year, playing 82 games or 83 games and then going to the playoffs. I know I got hurt quite a bit, but for some reason I always saved myself for the playoffs. And when the playoffs came around, like, for me, that was my killer instinct. That was when I was like, okay, this is my time to shine, and this is when I tend to show up and want to play.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dave, you've been in this locker room and in this market. When things are going bad like this, if you were put there today, what would your message be? What would your strategy be? What would you do if you're part of this team right now?
Oh, that's a tough question. But I think for me, it's just being a team, getting out there, like I said, like getting away from the rink, getting away from all that. I know, like, when I was there that year, I don't know what year I forget, that was going into 2014, 2015. I think those, before I got hurt, not putting it on myself, but we were doing really well. Like, we were on top of the city that year. We were great. And we were a well-rounded team with Loops, with Kadri, with Phil, with Bozak. And we were going out. We were a tight-knit team. Like, we were going out a lot. We were having great times. Like, I loved it there. I love it, but I came here to Florida and things are a little different. But if I was those guys, I'd be getting out, go have some beers, get away from the ring. Don't think about what's going on, because that market with all that media, it could run you down.
Yeah, I'm sure you went to the underground 7 or 18 or 3,000 times in your time in Toronto. Last one for me. You talked about Dale Hunter earlier on. I followed your career closely growing up too. I went to school in London, but watched Easton Cowan play for the London Knights as well. Have you had a chance to be around that kid? And we were just talking about Cowan being recalled just before you came on the show here. And do you think, a place like London has prepared or conditioned a kid like Cowan to deal with this kind of storm right now, because the team's not playing well? And you always wonder about calling kids up when it's just not going well and the toxicity around the market.
No, I think Dale and Mark do a great job with that. They prepare a lot of guys. You see how many players have come out of the London Knights system, with Rick Nash to now to Easton Cowan. I watched him when I was down there a few times whenever I'd go to the rink, and he's a player. I think he just needs his reps. But like I said, the best thing when I came out of junior was going to play in the AHL. I played in the AHL for about 2 years, and that's where I learned to play defense. I learned to get back, to help. When I was in the OHL, it was just a run and gun, and it was all about scoring goals, not really thinking about defense. But when I got to the AHL, when I was in Norfolk, I learned how to play defense, be a team player. Just the small things to get back up there to be an NHL player was a huge thing. So I think being in the AHL for him is great. It's a great learning, and it's going to help him get to the NHL and stay up there.
Shout out to Richmond Row in London. Great times on that street for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
You know how it is. Just to wrap, Bulls, what's your prediction? Obviously, this team is in a hole right now. They've dropped 4 in a row. We were just talking off the top. I mean, for all this losing they've done, they're still 4 points back of first in the Atlantic Division. Do you think they get themselves out of this?
It's going to be tough. Like, the way they're playing right now, it's not going to be easy. But I just don't feel like right now they're a playoff team. I don't feel like I feel like they're going to be on the edge. Like, I think missing Marner with that 100 points, like, points helps out, and he was one of their main guys. So it's I feel right now like I'm a Leafs fan. I want to see them win the Stanley Cup before I'm dead. So that's hopefully a long time down the road, but it's going to be tough for them to get out of this, and I hope they do, and I hope they figure it out.
Fair answer. In our show chat on YouTube, everybody just wants to know, where the fuck are you? It seems like an amazing place, man.
I'm in Florida. I live in Boca, so I hide out here.
Okay.
I'm about to go to my I'm going to play golf here in about 10 minutes with a few buddies of mine at my course. With James
Smart.
Covert. He was with the 85 Bears, and then a good friend of mine, Patrick Marino, that's a big real estate guy, and then a few other guys. So we got a little team, little golf game Friday, Saturdays. So, but we just had a cold front, so it was a little chilly down here.
Oh, I bet.
Did you?
Sounds all right.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Awesome stuff. And hopefully this team turn things around. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, guys. Anytime. Let me know when.
Our pleasure.
Thanks,
Take
Dave.
care, man. Have a great round. There's two-time Stanley Cup champion Dave Bolland, just living the life. Not too shabby. I wonder if he plays with MacArthur,
Clarkey, he plays over at Jordan's place.
Yeah.
It's funny though. You talk to him. It's not a big secret how to get out of this. Like, it's just character and coming together and being a team. And I don't know if these guys, you mentioned a few times, you go out and have some beers together, get to know each other, get to love each other. You have those experiences and those memories, and you become tight, and that translates to the ice. It's why sometimes coaches are like, we're having a day off tomorrow. Go out together, get out on the town and go out together and make some memories and forge some bonds. And I don't see these guys. I see them being so disconnected, and people will probably shake their head saying as if that's the answer. But it's funny what gets a team on track and what gets them playing as a unit. But whatever they are doing, it is not working right now. So again, it'll be hard to climb out of this thing, but lo and behold, they're not far out of it. It's just, again, a matter of, are you willing to climb out of this thing? Are you willing to do what it's going to take? And it's not rocket science, like Bolland mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I respect his candidness and his honesty when I asked him that question about his prediction. I think more times than not, when we ask people that, they feel this obligation because we're a Leafs podcast to be like, yeah, they're going to figure things out. I mean, there's no sane person watching this team right now can suggest or should suggest that they're going to figure this out. Like, I know people are giving me crap in the chat, a couple of people, because I said it's a shit show, and they're like, they're 8-8-2. But I watched the display, and as you talked about, I think yesterday, the schedule's been very fluff, man. Every game's been on home ice. They've played inferior opponents. They're not winning those games. You could only wonder what's ahead. Like, let's say you match up against a Florida or a Tampa or a Colorado. They're going to run you out of the building the way this team is playing defensively right now.
Yeah, but I think I mentioned at the beginning of the week, teams have played worse than this and climbed out of it. It's not like it's impossible. Yep. It's not like it's a foregone conclusion that they're toast or they're not going to make the playoffs. There's 60 plus games left to play, and that's a lot of hockey. So again, if you follow Willie's perspective, I don't know if Bolland agreed with it, but if you tighten up your defense, you're scoring the goals, and maybe getting Woll back in here could inject some confidence in the team. It's going to be something that kind of breaks the levee and allows them to start playing better hockey. Will it happen or not? It's hard to say. It's an uphill battle, no question. It's going to take some effort and some character. So anytime one of these guys or the bodies in that room, anytime they want to come together and step up, everyone's waiting.
I shouldn't fault Dave either, and I should have pushed back. This is my mistake or problem, like during the interview. But this narrative that the Leafs are not doing well because there's a guy in Vegas, I can't buy that, Rosie. I really, there's no correlation in my mind between Mitch Marner being in Vegas and this Maple Leafs team starting the way they have. I don't know if you feel it differently. There's just something loose about this team. They're not getting the saves. I think a couple more saves, you have a couple more wins, but I think it's a lazy narrative to suggest this is why they're not doing as well this year is because that guy's in Vegas. I just don't buy it, man. I don't.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, if Mitch Marner was on this team, he'd be helping them in the ways that Mitch Marner does help. He's a good player, but it's not like this season would be completely different if Marner was on there. There is so many different layers to this team where they are not where they need to be, and Mitch Marner would not sew all of that up, not by a long shot. So that's the people that liked him and didn't want to see him move. That now's their opportunity to pile on and say, I told you so. And that's fine. But let's be honest, the one player is not fixing the problems that this team has showcased so far this year.
I don't know if you stayed up for the late game last night. I don't know if you saw who got walked in OT, and I don't know if you saw, but Vegas has dropped 5 straight games. So things are not great. They miss Mark Stone out in Vegas right now. They miss Mark Stone. It's a long season, okay? I'm just trying to bring some positive feel to this show. But last but not least, we look ahead to this game on Saturday. Bedard's on a different planet right now. They're playing with a lot of confidence, are the Hawks. Blashill's done a great job. I have no clue what to expect anymore. Take the over is probably the best thing I could tell you. We're doing our Bet365 segment in a moment, but just show me something if you're the Maple Leaf. You got to rally here. You got to find a way to win this game. And it's crazy how every game, it just feels heavy. It almost feels like a must win now because they're behind the 8 ball a bit and they got to get the winning vibes going again. You're about to hit the road quite a bit too.
Yeah, I've just stepped back and
sitting
back going, well, we're waiting. Anytime now. You
Yeah.
guys are not committed to fixing this thing, so anytime you are, I'll be here watching, and not much we can do about it. Again, it's the biggest shocking thing is that there's not more desperation coming out of that group. And again, I cannot blame Craig Berube. I cannot blame the system. I don't blame the general manager. I think that they have set forth a style of play and expectations, and these guys are not even close to meeting them. And the biggest part is they don't seem all that desperate or interested in rectifying the problem. So I've just removed myself, and I'm watching from the outside saying, anytime you want to show us something, we're willing to watch it. So again, opportunity on Saturday against a hot team, and you're going to go on the road. Maybe that'll help these guys out, get away from the town and play on the road. You never know. Sometimes teams have great road records and can fix things when they get out there together and away from all the noise of Toronto. So that's one thing you can hope for, I guess.
If this keeps up, they're going to get their coach fired. I'm not endorsing it. I don't think he should be fired. This is not on the coach. It's not on the GM. It's firmly on the players. You can't fire an entire team, but they're trending that direction. That's all I'm going to input in that conversation. They're trending in the direction where they're going to get their coach fired. And being the former player, probably feel like shit. But the way this team is playing, they're just not understanding, not breaking down the message, not relaying the message. It's not going through. It's really unfortunate, but it's a sad reality of this game. And that's why these coaches sign multi-year deals. That's one of the bullets they can play, they being management, is to take the coach away, bring somebody else in. But you sort of feel for Craig Berube right now. There's only so much I feel a coach can do, where at some point in time, it's about the guys to go on the ice and execute. We're not seeing it right now. I don't care if Matthews is not in there. I don't care if Stolarz is not in there. Like the Ottawa Senators are a perfect example. We sort of laughed and joked, hey, look who's tied for first in the division, Rosie. I picked that team to win the Atlantic this year. They've been missing their captain all season. He's barely played, and look at where they're at. So you can find a way to get galvanized and do a job, and we haven't seen that thus far, at least defensively. It's been a joke. So.
Yeah, it has. And, Craig Berube could be the story right now if he's showing his frustration, showing panic, showing resentment towards the group. He's not doing that. And he's smart enough to know that I can't lose this group. I can't lose the room. There can't be a big wedge between the coaching staff and the players. And I think he's doing everything he can to keep it, to keep everything on the same level where, every day you're trying to get things on path. But again, it comes from the players. They have to bear the fuck down and do the things that they have not been committing to doing so far. And it's just hilarious beating your head against the wall, wondering why they're not more willing to make the changes that they must know are necessary.
Yep, pretty much. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. I really don't care about tonight's NHL card. I'm looking ahead to this Chicago game. I'm going to play a parlay of anytime goals. Connor Bedard, different planet, playing him. And I think Nylander responds. Like, you take the good, the bad, the ugly with Nylander. I thought he was awful against LA. I think he scores in that game. So I think I like Bedard and Nylander to score, and you have to take the over. We talked about it ad nauseum at this point throughout this season. 16 of 18 Maple Leafs games have hit the over. So you just got to play the over.
Yeah, I too am going to smash the over, parlayed with anytime points from Willie and Tavares, and see if we can get some plus money going in that respect. Again, just remove myself and watch from the outside. I'm just going to wait and see if they have a response.
Love it. Just at practice, seeing Scott Laughton's in a non-contact jersey. I saw him around the rink last night. He's in good spirits. He's feeling better. I would expect Scott Laughton back. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to put a time frame, but I expect him back relatively soon, which is good news. But just got to start winning some games. So we'll leave it at that. It's always tough to do these shows. I mean, I can only rip on this team so much, and sometimes you just got to hope for the best. I know we always joke about the Leafs hoping, and now here we are as podcast hosts. We're hoping that this team can figure things out, but it's been a disastrous start defensively, and maybe they're going to be energized by Joseph Woll. Maybe he plays Saturday. Easton Cowan's been recalled. Maybe he plays. Maybe Stoley comes back, but plain and simple, they got to find a way here at the UC in Chicago. That's it for this week, Leafs Morning Take. Coming up on Monday, by the way, I think a perfect guest. Rosie, we have Darren Dreger of TSN to drop by, and we'll get to the root of the Anderson conversation too, among other things. I want to know what's happening behind the scenes. Is there panic right now? There has to be some urgency, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. The guys that can only do so much, I'm sure, are trying to do as much as they can. So we'll pick his brain about what he's hearing behind the closed doors, a little whispers here and there, and see if we can pry any information out of him. So yeah, looking forward to that. Hopefully a good weekend, and see where things are at on Monday.
All right, bud, get some rest, feel better, and we'll talk Monday. Thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys are great. I know this skid sucks and this team's not playing too well, but you guys are very receptive. We appreciate that. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Don't forget as well to check out the leafsnation.com. Don't forget, too, to check out the Leafs Nation After Dark with Zach Phillips. A must-watch, I would say, by now. Like, Zach's going to lose his voice at some point.
Scorched earth, isn't he? He's going full scorched earth. My goodness.
Yeah.
Passionate kid. Yeah. And I think there's a few people that are on board with him. I'm not quite there yet, but lots of reason to be pissed off in Leafs Nation these days. That's for sure.
We're getting there. I've been in a rocking chair for, you guys know me by now. I don't really put much stock in the regular season, but I'm getting a bit squirmy. I left that rink a bit disgusted last night, even though they got a point. I'm like, It was just a tough game to watch, especially the first period, how boring it was. It was perfect. You go up 2-0 and they just chase the game after. These second periods are a joke too. They're not, I don't know what happens in that intermission. They come out in the second and it's just like an uphill battle. But anyways, that's enough from us this week. Thank you to Dave Bolland. He was awesome today. That's Jay Rosehill. I'm Nick Alberga. Thank you to producer Vic. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk on Monday. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.